Welcome to Common Ground, an inside look at Suffolk County. I am your host, Fernando Bossa. Today my guest is Gary A. Bracey, CEO and founder of Chief Bracey's Promotions, educator and teacher at the Suffolk County Sheriff's Department, founder of the BIF Paradigm Project, a motivational learning skills program. Most recently, one of the founders of the Massachusetts chapter of Noble. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So let's talk about a little bit, what is Noble?
Noble is the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives. It was founded in 1976 by a number of high-ranking police officers. They felt that there was a need for them to get together on a regular basis, and it still exists today. The original founder was Peggy Triplett, who worked for the Department of Justice, who saw black officers high-ranking around the country in 1976 and thought that there was a need for them to get together. She designed a letter of funding for them to come together in Washington, D.C. in '76, and from that point, they started the organization.
Tell me a little bit about the history of Noble.
Well, there were 60 high-ranking officers, and when they got together in D.C. for a 3-day conference, and the basis of the conference was black-on-black crime, and they decided before they got there that they were going to take 12 of them, 12 out of the 60, break away and start an organization that they could get together on a regular basis and discuss different problems resulting from being black, high-ranking police officers. And they voted on it, and the vote passed by 2. Out of 60, it passed by 2 votes. And again, today, Noble still exists. Noble has a table at every White House. Every presidential Trump has Noble at the table. They are only second to the International Chiefs of Police. They are the highest and biggest organization of police executives.
Who was William R. Bracey?
William R. Bracey was my dad. And my father
That's a picture of him there, right?
created Noble. And he was one of the 12 who separated, but even before he had gotten together with Peggy Triplett and they had talked about the need for Noble to exist. And Noble pretty much credits my father with being its founder. They have what they call the CEO Symposium, which is named after him, William R. Bracey CEO Symposium, where all of the high-ranking officers around the country meet in the wintertime and discuss the issues and the problems and the solutions of law enforcement.
And what about, who was Peggy Triplett?
Peggy Triplett was the founder. Peggy Triplett, she would probably not like me calling her the secretary because Peggy, she was never a secretary, but she was under the head of the Department of Justice, the DOE, and she wrote the paper that funded the original 60 coming into Noble, or coming into Washington, that eventually was the basis of the Noble organization. Again, Noble, National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives. These were all law enforcement executives around the country. And so she brought them together. Then she funded, I think, the next 2 meetings through her position in the Department of Justice. In my opinion, and in Noble's opinion, Peggy is the mother of Noble.
And what is the future of the Mass chapter?
Well, the Mass chapter has only been in existence for loosely a couple of months. We're just getting started, but there's a need for Noble in Massachusetts. Massachusetts, for the first time, has a black sheriff, has a black commissioner in Boston, has a black commissioner in Cambridge. It has 2 or 3 commissioners around other parts of Massachusetts. It has a black female district attorney. We have, for the first time, high-ranking people in law enforcement. There have been a lot of things that need to change so far as minorities in law enforcement. And for the first time, we have people in place that can make these changes. They are intelligent, they are powerful, and they can, in fact, make some changes, and that are well needed. And so Noble will assist, will give them blueprints of what works and what doesn't work, where opposition will come and where support will be. And so Noble is in a great position to help the movers and shakers in Massachusetts make some long deserved changes.
You said movers and shakers. What does that mean for the average person?
Well, the average person, in fact, can be a member of Noble. Noble has associate members. And in a lot of situations, these associate members are the heavy lifters of Noble. And yes, we have commissioners, but they're busy, and they don't always have the time. And one of the things that the average person can do is, again, some of the legwork that's needed in Noble. One of the things that is needed in our communities all the time are voter registration drives. And so through Noble, we're always going to be organizing for voter registration, but you can't have the commissioner knocking on your door, but your neighbors can knock on your door. Okay? There are things in Noble, community policing, for example. People don't know some of the things that are really a part of what they can do. Community policing means that the community has a say-so in what is enforced. An example may be that Morning Star Church on Blue Hill Avenue. Morning Star on Sundays double parks. Okay? Now that's a law that you can't do that. But the community has decided that they don't want to enforce that law at the time, and so Morning Star can double park. And so there are different things. The community can actually decide whether or not they want to prosecute certain, or they want enforced certain drug laws. Okay? It's actually up to the community via community policing, something started by Noble, and gives the community a lot of say-so in what goes on and what's enforced in their community.
And before I ask you this question about an average person, how do they do to join Noble? What does Noble stand for again?
The National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives.
And can an average person join?
The average person can join. Now, the regular member of Noble is a member of law enforcement in the rank of lieutenant or above. Okay? And so if you're in the rank of lieutenant or above and you see this, we are looking for you to join Noble. We have what's called associate members. And associate members, they have all the rights of regular members, but they cannot run for certain offices within Noble. You can't be the president of Noble if you're an associate member, for example. But you can be a member of Noble, and you can vote, and you can participate, and you are expected to come to the meetings and participate in Noble. And again, Noble is a positive force in your community. The Noble stands for justice by action, and you want to be a part of that.
Is Noble just for people of color?
No. Since its beginning, everybody is welcome in Noble. Okay? I don't want to be discriminated against. You don't want to be discriminated. We don't discriminate. But it is what it is. It is a black police. Okay? But everybody can participate. there are different organizations of police. There are the Emeralds. There are, every police department has different organizations within it. But I think that everybody should be open to whoever wants to join.
And what can an average person do for a Noble?
Well, again, the average person needs to have his voice heard. The police have a point of view that needs to be balanced with the citizens. Okay? And the average person can contribute to that balance. The average person needs to be a part of the police department. Okay? Right now, for example, the police department has an image that is not attracting young people. We need to attract young people. We have to have young people. And the fact that young people don't want to join the police department is actually fairly new. Okay? When I was growing up, young people wanted to be police, and that's changing. We need to change it in a positive degree, in a positive direction, and we need the community to help us do that.
What can an average person do in their community?
Well, voter registration is one thing that I mentioned. Policing our own community is always going to be a plus. And when I say policing, yes, neighborhood watch groups and assisting police in especially violent crimes and solving violent crimes. This is a thing that only the community getting together can do. And we need that. The police department is only as good as the community that it serves and the community that assists the police department. So we need people within the police department to help us.
So community policing originated from Noble, and you have said needs community spokespeakers. And Noble again stands for?
The National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives.
All right, Gary. With that note, I'm going to take you and shift a little the gears. All right. The next question I'm going to ask you, because you are now working at the Suffolk County Sheriff's Department, what is it you're doing there?
I am teaching, and I'm very happy and proud to be teaching the inmates at the Suffolk County Sheriff's Department. And I'm teaching them a program that I created about 20 years ago, a little more than 20 years ago, that was originally designed to help the MCAS or people pass the MCAS. We call it the BIF Paradigm Project at the time. Right. And it was a motivational learning skills program. And I'm still teaching the BIF program today. It was known for taking kids not only past the MCAS, but taking them from F's to A's. And we do that in 3 basic ways. We teach speed reading. We will teach you how to read 2-3 times faster than you currently read. We teach mind mapping, which is a way of taking notes that go back in history, and all the geniuses in previous history, when they look at their notes, it turns out that they use a system that today is called mind mapping. And memory. We're very well known for our memory strategies, because people can memorize things that to the regular person it seems unheard of. And put those 3 things, speed reading, mind mapping, and memory together, and we can take pretty much any F student and make them into an A student. And so we've been doing that for over 20 years. Straight
A's. I like that. Where did the idea come from?
Well, the idea originally came from Martin Luther King's mother. And now, my father, William R. Bracey, he was Martin Luther King's bodyguard whenever he was in New York. People sometimes don't remember. Martin Luther King was stabbed in a Woolworth's in 1959 at a book signing by a crazy lady. And he was rushed to the Harlem Hospital. While he was there recovering, they asked him, did he know any police officers? And he said, yes, I know Sergeant at the time, Sergeant Bracey. my father was the president of the Guardians Association, a black police organization in New York. And he had brought Martin Luther King in to speak at their functions for 2 previous years. And so they knew each other very well. And so after that, they became very good friends, and my father was his bodyguard. And
I think we have a picture of that with the bodyguard and them walking in and out of
yes,
the hospital.
we may have a picture of them coming out of the hospital, and the gentleman on the right with the hat on and the bulge in his coat was my father on duty guarding Martin Luther King. But we lived close to the airport, and so when people, Martin Luther King or any of his family would come into New York, they would go to Idlewild Airport at the time, Kennedy Airport today, and they would take a cab, 10-minute ride over to our house, and then they would wait there for my father to come and take them wherever they were going. And one day, my father was out and Martin Luther King's mother came by. My father was up at my school getting a bad report on me, which was my norm. And I knew he was going to be very angry when he came back, and so I decided I'm going to keep Mrs. King entertained before he gets there. And when he came, he was angry. He had my papers balled up in his hand and sent me upstairs. And he said, "Mrs. King, how'd you ever get ML to get good grades?" Martin Luther King, he graduated from high school at age 15. And so he always had good grades. And so she said, "Oh, I'm up the top of the stairs listening to the conversation. Oh, that was easy." She said, "If he came home with an A, I'd give him a quarter. If he came home with a B, I'd give him a dime. He liked the money, so he always brought home good grades." So I was upstairs like, yeah, right, pay me. I'll get good grades every day.
Yeah, that
but
works.
he never paid me. And, some people, they don't want to pay, or you're supposed to do this on your own. I say, if you went to work and you didn't get paid, okay, think of your child that way. It's not a bad system. It's not for every child. But certain kids like I was, we do it for money. Sure, I will bring home A's all the time if you paid me for them. So Mrs. King started that by mentioning that. The BIF program was started on that basis. If you do what we say, if you do your speed reading drills, if you do your mind mapping, if you do you'll get good grades, and when you get good grades, we will pay you for that.
So I like that. So you were taught these skills, and then for now today you teach those skills.
Yes.
That's really great. That's awesome. That's a great example. Yes. Chief Bracey Production.
Chief Bracey Promotion is a company that I formed. I named it after my father, and it is designed to help people join and move up in the police, fire, and correction department. Civil service exams. I teach entrance exams. The top 2 out of 3 scores on the police entrance exam in Boston when you came out of my class. The top score in Suffolk County Sheriff's Department in the sergeant's exam came out of my class. The top score in the captain's exam came out of my class. We're very good at teaching test-taking skills, and we're not guessing. We know the answers, and we know the answers because of the drills that we do in speed reading, mind mapping, and memory. We're excellent at it. We've been doing it for over 20 years.
Wow, that's awesome. So at the Suffolk County Sheriff's Department, you're giving all this good knowledge and education and training. And yeah, I do see that. I see you come through in there very faithfully, very dedicated, and the men that are in there are very involved.
I love what I'm doing. I never anticipated any problem, but I also never anticipated the gratitude of the men and women, inmates. What I'm teaching them, they appreciate, and they're putting it to good use. And I'm very happy, again, to be there. I've turned down some other jobs since I've had this one, and never regretted it. I love what I do.
And I guess the question I wanted to ask was, all inmates that want good time will take Mind Boost for a month.
Okay, this is brand new. This is something that was just presented to me in the past few days that education and the authorities in Suffolk County have decided that my program is something that they believe necessary for the inmates to progress. And so before they take high set, which is GED, they want them to go through my class. Before they take college prep, they want them to go through my class. Before automotive skills, cooking skills, these type of things, they want them to go through my class. My class has been proven to increase grades, increase attention, increase participation in class. I'm very happy and proud that they feel that my class is that important, that they want all of the inmates that are looking for good time to first take the class.
And I think the last question that I'm going to ask you is, all females inmates 3 hours of mind boosting mandatory, and then they decide if they want to continue?
Well, the thing where the inmates who want good time, that's fairly new, but I've been doing classes for all the female inmates in their orientation. And so they take 3 hours of mind boost in orientation when they first come in, and from there they decide whether or not they want to continue with mind boost. And so I have about a 50% people who come in that continue with mind boost in the female population. And again, they also do extremely well, and happy and proud to be a part of that.
Gary A.C. Bracey, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
And that's all for today. Thanks for joining us.